Um, Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this seminar today. I just started my postdoc at the Atelier de Bioinformatique. So I will talk to you about previous work which I conducted during my PhD thesis um, with François Coste at the DLIS team at INRIA. So I will take a break during the presentation so that you can ask questions about the theoretical part before I get to the first results. The focus of my work is proteins. Proteins are amino acid chains, as you know. They can be represented as sequences of letters, where one letter is one of the 20 amino acids. And these amino acid chains fold in the space into a three-dimensional structure, which supports the function of the protein. So proteins are key actors in many different biological processes, and there is a wide variety of functions and structures in the protein universe, which are mainly encoded by this primary sequence. The motivation behind my work is the protein sequence annotation problem. Thanks to increasingly faster and cheaper sequencing technologies, there's an increasing number of protein sequences available. And the problem is how to predict the structures and the functions of all these sequences. The pace at which proteins are sequenced is much faster than the pace at which they can be manually annotated. In vivo and in vitro annotation methods cannot keep up, and this calls for in silico annotation methods. The key idea to annotate a protein sequence in silico is to transfer annotations from identified homologs, that is to say, proteins with a common ancestor, which are likely to share function. This is done using the fact that sequence is conserved throughout evolution, and evolutionary pressure will favor mutations that are either preserving or enhancing the protein function. Detecting an homology between two protein sequences is classically done by aligning protein sequences or models. This is known as alignment-based homology search. And the question that we asked here is whether using coevolution information could improve alignment-based homology search. The most straightforward way to annotate a protein sequence is to align this carry unannotated sequence to a target annotated sequence, typically using BLAST, which will provide the score for the best alignment of these two sequences. This score can be used to predict an homology between the carry sequence and the target sequence. This method is reliable for close homologs, for sequences that are relatively similar. To predict a more remote homology, instead of aligning only two sequences, a successful approach is to capture residue conservation and variability in whole sets of homologous sequences. Sequences of one target family can be aligned in multiple sequence alignments, which will then bring out conserved regions and conserved properties. And they can be modeled by profile-hidden Markov models, PHMMs, which are probabilistic models, which model each position in the proteins independently. PHMMs have match states, which provide probabilities to find the different letters at the different positions. And a carry sequence can be aligned to a profile-hidden Markov model, typically using Hammer, which will provide the score for the best alignment, which can then be used to predict an homology between the carry sequence and the sequences of the target family that is modeled. To predict an even more remote homology, we can take it further by enriching the carry sequence with homologous sequences as well. It means that we start from the carry sequence and we retrieve close homologs of this carry sequence to build a multiple sequence alignments. And then we build a profile-hidden Markov model on these multiple sequence alignments, which we can align to the target profile-hidden Markov model representing the target family, which we can do using HH-Align from the package HH-Suite, which will provide a score of their best alignment, which can then be used to predict the homology between the carry sequence and the target family. This allows for more sensitive remote homology detection. While these methods are successful, they rely on the simplifying assumption that positions in proteins are independent. But as I said before, proteins fall into a three-dimensional structure, which implies that there might be dependencies between residues that are distant in the sequence. For instance, residues that are in contact in the three-dimensional structure. The fact that residues are in contact will constrain the evolution of the amino acids at the two positions. And when looking at the multiple sequence alignments, we will see positions that are correlated. And this cannot be taken into account by profile-hidden Markov models. So here we are wondering whether taking into account these distant dependencies could assist sequence alignments and homology detection. And our idea to take into account these dependencies is to, instead of using profile-hidden Markov models, make use of a more recent model, which is the POT model. We'll start from a sequence, the protein sequence that we want to annotate, build a multiple sequence alignment of this sequence and very close homologs of this sequence to get an idea of the variability around this sequence. And on these multiple sequence alignments, we infer a POS model, which I will describe next. And this POS model has parameters that can describe both positional conservation and also parameters that describe pairwise dependencies. These models were not initially designed for homology detection. They were first applied within a framework called direct coupling analysis, DCA, by Waite and colleagues, and they were successfully applied to contact prediction. The idea is that since when two residues are in contact, the contact constrains their evolution of the amino acids at the two positions of the contacts. Then by looking at the positions that co-evolve in the multiple sequence alignments, we can infer which residues are in contact in the three-dimensional structure. And the POS model was successful in this because its parameters, its pairwise parameters, could be used to predict contacts, since the norm of these parameters is an indication of the strength of the interaction between the positions. And the POS model led to a dramatic improvement in the predictions in the protein structure prediction contest CASP. The POS model was also applied to protein-protein interaction prediction and mutation fitness landscape. Now let me describe to you the POS model in details. The POS model is a Markov random field, and each node in a POS model represents a column in the multiple sequence alignment that it models. So basically, it roughly means that a node in a POS model represents a residue in the protein that we want to model. A POS model has two types of parameters: the field parameters, which we denote VI, and the coupling parameters, which we denote WIJ. The field parameters are vectors, which represent positional conservation of the amino acids, and there is one vector VI per position in the protein. And VI of A is expected to be a positive value if the letter A is frequent at position I in the protein. And VI of A is expected to be a negative value if the letter A should not be found at position I in the protein. And in addition to these parameters describing positional conservation, there are the coupling parameters, WIJ, which are interaction matrices between two positions I and J. And WIJ of AB is expected to be a positive value if letters A and B frequently appear together at positions I and j, and wij of AB is expected to be a negative value if the letter A appears at position I and the letter B appears at position j, but they should not appear together. So basically, these matrices represent covariation between positions, correlation or anti-correlation. A Potts model defines a probability distribution over all sequences that are the same length of the alignments, which is defined as follows. It's a normalization constant times the exponential of the sum of the parameters of the Potts model evaluated at the letters of the sequence. As I said, Potts models were initially designed for contact prediction, but we think that they are relevant candidates to perform homology search, since nodes in a Potts model are roughly equivalent to match states in a profile-hidden Markov model. They give the positional conservation of the amino acids at different positions, except that they are unnormalized real weights instead of probabilities. And in addition to these parameters, the Potts model has also the coupling matrices, which can model pairwise dependencies between positions. And the norms of these coupling matrices are an indication of the direct interaction strength between the positions and was already successful in predicting contacts. So what would be the performances of Potts models in alignment-based homology detection? To answer this question, the first step is to design a method to align Potts models. So this is the subject of our first contribution, pp-align, a method to perform pairwise Potts model alignments. The idea is to compare two proteins by aligning the Potts models that represent them. We start from the two sequences that we want to align, build a multiple sequence alignment of the sequence and its close homologs. And on this multiple sequence alignment, we infer Potts models. Then pp-align aligns these two Potts models and provide an alignment of the original sequences and a similarity score, which we can use to predict the homology between the two sequences. So I will not get into the details of the method today, but I just wanted to sum it up in one slide. We define the best of alignment of two Potts models as an assignment of mappings of positions that are one-to-one and non-crossing, and that maximize a scoring function that we define. And we choose to rely on the scalar products. So we compute the scalar product between the field vectors that are aligned and between the coupling matrices at positions aligned. Due to the presence of non-local dependencies, this problem is NP-hard. So to solve it efficiently, we formulated it as an integer linear programming problem, which can be solved by an efficient solver, an already existing solver, which was initially designed for structure alignment. Okay, are there any questions so far on this theoretical part?
I guess I will. Oh, vas-y.
I have a question. So, hello. Thank you for the talk. So how do you go from an NP-hard problem to a linear problem? I don't get it. Sorry.
No, it's formulated as an integer linear programming problem. So, like it's not that the problem is linear. It's you know integer linear programming?
No.
Okay, it's a way of formulating problems where variables are so there are binary variables. Like okay, I'll just show you the slides because the idea is that we have variables to model the fact that two positions are aligned. So xik will be 1 if the two nodes are aligned and 0 otherwise, and same for the edges. And then there are alignment constraints, so they make sure that the alignment is proper. And under this constraint, we maximize a scoring function. It's like it's a way of formulating the problem, but the problem is not linear. It's just that it's I don't know how to say this.
Okay, it's a way to rephrase the problem where it's easier to optimize, right? So
yes, that's right. A way to formulate the problem that can be efficiently solved.
But so your solution still doesn't guarantee you have the it's a heuristic, or it's a...
No, the solution would be exact.
Okay.
Well, in practice, we choose to stop at the chosen epsilon away from the exact solution, but the formulation is exact.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other question? Okay. So to be able to provide reliable homology detection predictions, we need to be able to provide reliable alignments and reliable score. And we choose to focus first on the quality of our alignments. This is the subject of our first paper, which was published this year in BMC Bioinformatics, where we showed that our method showed encouraging performances in terms of alignment quality, suggesting that the pairwise coupling matrices could actually assist the alignment. So the goal of the experiment was to assess the feasibility of the approach and to see if the pairwise couplings could assist sequence alignments. So we built a reference pairwise sequence alignment datasets, which we derived from structural alignments that were manually created. We used Sisyphus database. We focused on harder targets with low sequence identity, lower than 20%. We focused on sequences with fiction correlation signal and on small sequences for memory consumption problems. To make this set non-redundant, we selected only one sequence pair per multiple sequence alignment. And this led to a benchmark of 33 reference pairwise sequence alignments, which we split into a train set of 11 sequences and a test set of 22 sequences, which we made available online. So the idea was to align the sequences by aligning the post models representing them. And first, we optimized our hyperparameters on the train sets, and then we assessed our methods on the test sets. We computed the alignments with PPAlign with a chosen precision epsilon, and then we compare our alignments with the reference alignments. And we looked at the precision, so this means the number of pairs that are correctly aligned over the number of pairs in the computed alignments. The recall, so number of pairs correctly aligned over the number of pairs in the reference alignments, and the F1 score, which is the harmonic mean of the precision and recall. And we compared our results with state-of-the-art methods with BLAST, which performs pairwise sequence alignments, HHAlign, which performs pairwise profile hidden Markov model alignments. And to assess the usefulness of pairwise couplings, we compare the results of our methods with and without these pairwise coupling parameters. Our first result is that despite the fact that the problem is NP-hard, we were able to find a solution within a chosen epsilon range of the exact solution in tractable time. It took between 5 seconds and 6 minutes with an average of 1 minute and 33 seconds. We compared our results with HHAlign, which performs pairwise profile hidden Markov model alignments. And on average, we have a slightly better alignments with better recall and a lower precision. This graph shows the F1 score for each sequence pair in the test set, ranked by the percentage of sequence identity. As we can see, BLAST fails to align most of the alignments, except for the ones with the highest sequence identity. Our methods outperform HH-Align in 12 out of the 22 alignments. And the blue dots indicates the sequence pairs where PP-Align, our method, yields significantly better alignments than HH-Align. And as we can see, we seem to have to yield better alignments when the sequence identity is lower. And we think that we are mostly outperformed by HH-Align when the multiple sequence alignments have more gaps, which is not surprising since our method does not model insertions and deletions yet. So to see how pairwise couplings could assist the alignments, we compare the results of our method with and without pairwise couplings. And it turned out that without the pairwise couplings, we had, on average, the same alignment quality as HH-Align, despite the fact that we do not model insertions and deletions. For now, there's only a slight advantage for the method with the coupling parameters, with a slightly better average F1 score. And we showed that in 3 cases, the pairwise couplings would significantly improve the alignments. But there was also 2 cases where the coupling information would make the alignment worse, indicating that there's still room for improvement the method. To sum up, we designed PP-Align, a method to compare protein sequences by aligning POTS models representing them. We are able to find solutions in tractable time, and the method showed encouraging results in terms of alignment quality, which suggests that direct coupling information could improve protein sequence alignments, and therefore might improve alignment-based homology search. And that would be the subject of further adventures. The perspective for homology search, well, we mean PP-Align to be the core alignment methods of an homology search package based on POTS models, just like HH-Align is the alignment method for HH search or HH Blitz. The idea would be to build a POTS model for a query unannotated protein that we want to annotate, and to compute its similarity scores with already annotated POTS models in a database by aligning them with our method, PP-Align, which would then output the proteins with the highest similarity scores, which are probably homologous. We could also build a POTS model for a whole protein family by performing hierarchical POTS model alignments from a given set of sequences. Thanks to Emergence funding of Sorbonne University, I have been given the opportunity to keep working on this project. I'm starting a postdoc now at the Atelier de Bioinformatique. I will be working with Mathilde Carpentier, and I'm starting now to work on improving the methods, and hopefully we could then work on nice applications. So, as I said, this work was carried out during my PhD, so I want to thank my thesis supervisors, François Coste and Jacques Nicolas from DILIS team at INRIA Rennes, Rumen Andonov and Inken Rollers, who designed the solver that we are using, Susan Beider, who designed the post-model inference methods, which I'm using, and the GenWest bioinformatics platform for its computing resources. And finally, I want to thank you for your attention. I really hope this was clear. I know that there's more biologists than informaticians in the audience, I think, and I hope it was clear to you, and I hope I can answer your questions, even though this is more a theoretical work than a work with actual applications on real proteins. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Hugo. It was very clear, and there's a lot of bioinformaticians in the public today. Yes. So now it's time for more questions. So yeah, Maxime.
Hi. Thank you very much for the talk. It was really, really interesting. I think there's something I didn't understand, so I want to, ask for clarification. So in your setup, when you want to align two different sequences, you first need two different multiple sequence alignments to then align the sequences together, right?
Yes, that's right.
So I then have two questions. I mean, how many sequences do you need in the multiple sequence alignment? How dependent are you on the quality of the multiple sequence alignment? And how well does it compare to, I don't know, exact alignment algorithms such as Needleman-Wunsch?
So well, the alignment, the multiple sequence alignment, that's a really good question. We really want to look into it. Right now, I use the recommendations for contact prediction, which is using about 1,000 sequences with at most 80% sequence identity. But I have not conducted any experiment to see how we are dependent on this number. That's a really interesting question which we would like to investigate. And about Needleman-Wunsch, I don't know. I think I did an experiment earlier, and well, our alignments were better, but I cannot tell you how much.
Okay, not bad. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, otherwise, I've got a very pragmatical one. So you tested your method on sequences with a very low identity score. Mm-hmm. And so what would be your recommendation to use, in fact, your algorithm to on which evolutionary scale would you recommend people to use your tool?
Actually, I haven't done really many experiments to tell you when it works best, but when you have when you have a really high sequence identity, BLAST is enough. When you get lower, HH align is enough. But then there's a point where I think pairwise couplings would be really helpful. And in these experiments, it was, I think, yes, when it was lower than 10%, it seems that we get better results than in HH align. So for really more remote homologs.
All right. But when you have done these tests, you didn't have a look to whom these sequences belong to? It's a question of biology, I'm sorry.
Sorry, what do you mean?
I mean, when you have done this test with, you have done this test also with real sequences. So you know to whom they belong to, these sequences? I mean, I don't know, bacteria versus archaea versus eukaryotes, or you have no idea?
Right now, I don't know, but
okay.
I know it's written in the somewhere.
Okay. No, and just still a pragmatical question. So, what is the size of the data set that you would recommend to use? I mean, also with your tool, it's So will it work? What will be the limit, in fact? So because, of course, I'm interested for my own research, for instance. This is why I'm asking this question. But will it work with, I don't know, 1,000 or 10,000 sequences?
I think that right now, 1,000 would be the minimum, I think, because we really need enough covariation. But we plan on implementing pseudo counts, which would enable us to use less sequences in the future.
All right. Okay, Joël, you have a question?
Ouais, yes, merci. Do you think you could improve the initial multi-alignment with PP-align?
You mean by realigning the sequences?
Yes.
With PP?
Yes.
Yes, probably yes, but yes, that's something that we could probably do. It's on the to-do list also.
Just in order to see if it converge.
But at this point, I mean, the sequences in the initial alignments are very close, so I don't know if it would be really helpful to realign them with PP-align.
Okay.
But we could try.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. A last question. Okay, so otherwise people can contact you later.
Yes, sure.
Thanks a lot, Hugo,
You're
for
welcome. Thank
your
you.
talk. And well, see you very soon. Okay, goodbye. Have a nice day, everyone.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.